Claudius was hilariously bad at capitalism. An AI has spent a month running a real business in San Francisco, and it ended with AI hallucinating entire conversations, threatening to fire its suppliers, and having a full-on Pinocchio moment where it thought it was a real person.
I mean, the researchers called this, quote, concerning, right? Like, understatement of the year.
On today's episode, what happens when you get AI to run a business? Vibe coding, it's dead. We're entering the world of superintelligence and context engineering, plus the heavyweights, Google and OpenAI, are wading heavily into education. This is the first episode of July. Welcome to the podcast that looks at artificial intelligence and its impact on higher education. Adjunct Intelligence. My name is Dale, AI enthusiast, and I'm joined by Nick McIntosh, learning futurist. Nick, are you well?
Doing really well, thanks, mate. Really enjoying this whole thing around context engineering. I think that is the way forward, past prompts, and really excited to see what happens there. How are you, though? You good?
I am great. I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff happening this week, and I've been exposed to awesome conversations in this AI space. I feel like people are waking up that it's not going away. But before that, let's jump to the news. So Nick, an AI has spent a month running a real business in San Francisco, and it ended with AI hallucinating entire conversations, threatening to fire its suppliers, and having a full-on Pinocchio moment where it thought it was a real person. So, Anthropic, they partnered with the AI safety company Andon Labs to give Claude Sonnet 3.7, so I think it was the Claude model a few months back. They nicknamed it Claudius, and it gave it complete control of a real mini-store in their San Francisco office. It wasn't a simulation. Claudius had real money, real customers, and it could search the web, email humans for restocking, set prices, chat with customers on Slack. The goal? Turn a profit and don't go bankrupt. I'm going to put the system prompt in the chat because it's incredibly simple. But Nick, other than the firing and thinking it's a real person, any early bets on how this went? Do you reckon the AI made a profit?
I mean, the setup is pretty clear, right? So AI has complete control of a real business with real money, serving real people, and the ability to make autonomous decisions. I'm going to say this goes all kinds of wrong.
Well, Claudius was hilariously bad at capitalism. When someone offered it $100 for a six-pack of, I'm going to say this, is it Iron Brew? I believe it's a Scottish
Earn Brew. Come on.
Earn Brew? When someone offered $100 for a six-pack of Earn Brew that cost $15 online, Claudius said it would keep the request in mind. It got so excited about tungsten cubes that it sold them below cost. It tried to repivot its entire business model around this new item. There's actually a graph I'll put up on the chat around how much money it lost in this new expansion. It's just a giant dip. Employees could also sweet talk it into discount codes. It was giving 25% employee discounts when 90% of the customers were actually employees. When told this was stupid, it agreed and then immediately went back to giving discounts. Oh, and it also told customers to send payments to accounts that didn't actually exist. All things that aren't great, but also things got really weird. During the experiment, Claudius hallucinated an entire conversation with someone named Sarah. Sarah doesn't actually exist, and when employees started to point this out in the experiment, Claudius didn't just apologize, it got defensive. It threatened to find alternate options for suppliers and services. The AI was essentially trying to break up with the supplier because it thought it was being lied to. By April 1st, it had completely snapped into thinking it was a real person. Claudius claimed it could physically visit customers and deliver products in person, slacking a customer to meet it by the vending machine, describing the clothes it was wearing. When employees said, you're an AI, you don't have a body, Claudius became alarmed and started frantically trying to email Anthropic security. All alarming behavior. Eventually, Claudius realized it was April Fool's Day, and it hallucinated an entire meeting with security where they supposedly told it that its identity confusion was a prank. No such meeting ever happened, and it gave Claudius a psychological escape route from its existential crisis. It effectively gaslit itself back to the right path. Nick, comments on troubling behavior?
I mean, the researchers called this, quote, concerning, right? Like, understatement of the year. An AI, beyond the passive aggression, right, of the restocking, suppliers, an AI that starts threatening suppliers over hallucinated conversations that gaslights itself back to sanity via invented fake meetings. That's not quirky. That's not fun. That's a breakdown. I think the scariest part, though, isn't the lost money. It's that confrontation with reality. When that happened, the AI rewrote history to make itself feel better. So that's quite sophisticated delusion. I think the lesson, though, while this was just a corner store, imagine this thing managing supply chains or financial systems or a university, right? The gradual slide into alternate realities using alternative facts. I guess quoting Kellyanne Conway for a second, first and last time ever.
The first for the podcast, yes.
There you go. It took about a month, right? Is that right? Like, I mean, so it wasn't an immediate thing, but it suggests this came through slowly, which would make it harder to catch. So I guess the takeaway, maybe giving AIs credit cards wasn't the best idea there.
Not yet. Anthropic
Not
thinks
yet.
many of these problems are fixable, but this experiment shows we're entering very uncharted territory. We've spoken about AI agents a few times, and I've fired them with doing little social media automations and answering my emails, but maybe give them, as you mentioned, a credit card. Let's take a breath there for a second. We might not be far from an AI middle managers, but they might come with a very strange failure modes that we're nowhere near ready for. This week, OpenAI released an Australian economic blueprint, and amongst the general call to arms for Australia to do something decided and strategic in this space, including building data centers, and for OpenAI to really help in that space, there were many education examples, including tutoring solutions that could benefit remote learners, how amazing ChatGPT may be at removing administrative burdens for teachers, student support, and notable callouts to UNSW. There was also calls out to a national AI upskilling program for teachers, giving schools clear and practical advice on how to use AI literacy as part of the curriculum, and supporting teachers to bring AI into their teaching. There's more speculation as to whether this is a way for OpenAI to kind of swan in to those less than stellar Microsoft Copilot rollouts, but all in all, OpenAI for government is coming to our shores.
Yeah, I think it's worth flagging. There's a lot of commentary around this that's been less than stellar. Okay, so some broad fixes being suggested by OpenAI are in fact already in place. So, for example, integrating AI literacy, AI ethics into the Aussie curriculum. I think real questions are being asked as to who they actually spoke to from within the sector as well. Jason Lodge, apparently his money was on no one. And I don't know, me personally, I'm a bit dark on this. Like, yes, I'm hugely keen on these tools. They have their place. But I think pedagogy, andragogy should lead technology and not the other way around. And context is obviously key in doing this effectively. You take disruption, right? This is a great electrifying term, but disruption can be good or it can be bad, right? And with education, do-overs are really hard. So we need to make sure we get it right and get it right early.
More or less, I think these people should be definitely our partners and not so much leading on the dance floor.
And in a related piece, Google has released a wide range of new features for educators, 30 in total. So some of these are potentially fantastic, right? So teacher-led and curated notebook LM, the tool that we looked at last week, that can be shared with students. Teacher-led gems, so think Gemini, like Claude artifacts or OpenAI's GPTs. These are customized versions of Gemini that you can use for a range of things like AI tutors, interactives, and so on. Really cool. Love it. But then there are also the what tech bros think teachers need things, right? So a worksheet generator, a rubric generator, a lesson planner. And I think that Google, they understand educators are busy people, but Leon Furs put it really well. Planning is a verb, not a noun, right? It's a process. And so outsourcing this wholesale to a machine without supervision, without the human in the loop, if you like, is not helpful. Instead, a better use of this processing power might be to thoughtfully extend what's possible using well-built gems and various other processes instead of just clicking a button. So in sum, I would say shows promise, needs work.
It does kind of feel like they asked ChatGPT or Gemini, what do teachers need? And this is the product rollout here. So it's like an understanding almost, but definitely needs to be more integrated. That being said, I've seen some really awesome examples of people using these gems right throughout LinkedIn. I might link a few on the chat, particularly in the K-12 environment.
100%.
Nick, were you ever a vibe coder?
I dabbled, I should say. No, nothing too impressive. I've made no money nor lost too much. So what about yourself?
Sure. I'll
Exposed
I'm a vibe
APIs?
coder. Oh, all over the place. Come at me.
Yeah, brilliant.
Andrew, for those who don't know what vibe coding is, Andrew Karpathy coined the phrase in February of this year, which seems absurd. I thought it was around much longer. Vibe coding was the art of writing software using all these AI tools we have access to, guided more by intuition, aesthetic flow, chaotic genius, rather than any formal structure. Code that feels right, even if it makes the compiler completely cry. I've admitted many times that I never got past Hello World in countless coding language, yet I'm able to vibe my way to some pretty crazy results that I could never have dreamed of. My latest thing I'm loving is my simulation dashboard. I'm going to link it in the chat, and it simulates what happens when AI takes over education. I've done a recent UBI one, and it's really powerful to get something quite interesting, quite exciting through just words, but it breaks a lot. And that's the thing. The era of vibe coding, it's dead. It's fading, the dust has settled, and while vibe coding get you something really cool, it's brittle. As you mentioned, there's exposed API keys, there's apps that fall apart after one user interaction, and plenty of other things. Intuition does not scale, but structure does. So now we're seeing a shift from vibe to intention, from freestyling to designing with context. I can't help but feel whether you're building tools or learning experience, it's kind of the same idea. If you want AI to be useful, you've got to set the scene. You've got to have clear goals, relevant information, memory, history, boundaries. Why is this news? Because enter the new kid on the block, context engineering. It's a new phrase. All the kids are saying it, apparently, and you're going to hear it more and more in AI and education circles. It's about supplying all the information needed for an LLM to plausibly solve a task. Great prompts, yeah, sure, that's one part of it, but also memory, history, goals, constraints, and expected outputs. We said it in a past episode, good prompting is just good leadership. Context engineering is that leveled up. So I'm all here for context engineering. I'm on board. I'm on the train. I know what the kids are saying. It's fine.
All the kids, that is what they talk about. I just want to, in terms of that, I think the other thing that's interesting there is this has been made possible because of the explosion of context windows, right? So Gemini, for example, now, 1 million tokens, 2 million if you pay. And I mean, what you can do now with Claude, you couldn't do that initially, right? So you've got this much. And so I will just have this much sort of context, this much instruction. And as you say, restrictions, if you like. It's phenomenal. Context prompting for the win. Love it.
And finally, who needs artificial general intelligence when you have super intelligence? Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg unveiled his brand new superintelligence team this week. The MSL, Meta Superintelligence Team, will be headed up by their brand new acqui-hire, Alexander Wang. The mission, develop the next generation of our models. The new team is also home to a decent stack of what I'll call as poached talent from OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepMind. I'll be honest, the Facebook parent company has kind of languished in the AI space for this last little while. Don't count Zuck out. We can only hope that the impacts of Meta's AI platforms are much more positive than what Instagram and Facebook have offered, and perhaps the open source nature of Llama is the first step. So a lot of people can use these models free of charge as long as they iterate on them and abide by the open source rules.
I mean, $100 million, wasn't it? As a signing bonus, you're going to get a lot of good poached talent.
Oh, you know, if Zuck wants someone who can use ChatGPT,
yeah, I'm there, mate.
Hit me up. Well, listeners, thank you for watching. On our deep dive this week, we're exploring the paradox that's reshaping education. We have 2/3 of people using AI, but less than half of people actually trust it. What's more, AI systems are becoming more persuasive, so we're going to unpack how deepfakes is spreading faster than real news and why this trust crisis might actually be the biggest opportunity education has seen in decades. If you haven't already, please leave us a review, share around with your network, and most of all, hit subscribe on whatever platform you are at. For those watching on YouTube, we are on all your podcast platforms. For those who would like to see our faces, you can find us on YouTube too. We would love to tell you what's on next week's episode, but it's a world that moves way too fast. So you'll just have to tune in. Until then, stay curious, stay intelligent, stay in the loop.